A marathon session on Capitol Hill to decide the fate of President Biden's COVID relief package, the aid that could be coming for Americans in need and what's behind the holdup. Plus, some COVID-19 restrictions are lifting for Michigan restaurants, how owners are preparing for an increase in capacity just in time for a popular West Michigan event.
And the sunshine continues into the weekend and really the next few hours. A gorgeous night to hit the town. We'll detail it hour by hour.
Covering West Michigan to protect and alert you. This is News Channel 3, live at 5:30.
Starting live over the Senate floor this evening as lawmakers continue debate on President Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief package. Thanks for joining me tonight, everyone. I'm Hannah Knowles in for Kate. Senators are continuing their hours-long so-called vote-a-rama with a final vote on President Biden's American Rescue Plan expected sometime over the weekend. Ahead of the vote, Democrats agreed to maintain federal unemployment benefits at $300 per week and extend them through September. $1,400 stimulus checks will phase out for single filers earning more than $75,000 and joint filers earning more than $150,000. President Biden hosted a roundtable focused on the plan this afternoon.
We can't afford one step forward and two steps backwards. We need to beat the virus, provide essential relief, and build an inclusive recovery.
We're about to watch one party ram through a partisan package on the thinnest of margins.
The final vote is expected this weekend and largely to be along party lines. In the meantime, the White House COVID response team is encouraging states to keep COVID-19 restrictions in place for right now. Several states, including Texas and Mississippi, are lifting mask mandates and other restrictions this week. State officials say millions of Americans are now vaccinated, and President Biden has promised vaccines for every adult by May. Still, our nation's top health experts say now is not the time to drop our guard.
CDC and public health officials, locally, at the state level, and nationally are all clear. Wear a mask.
Strictly following prevention measures remains essential for putting an end to this pandemic. It also serves as a warning about prematurely lifting these prevention measures.
The CDC is preparing guidance for vaccinated Americans that will include recommendations for masking, traveling, restrictions, and gatherings. It's been delayed. Right now, there's no timeline for that update. Michigan is also lifting some COVID-19 restrictions, now allowing more people to dine in at restaurants. News Channel 3's Tavarius Haywood joins us live from downtown Kalamazoo, where the city is kicking off Restaurant Week. Hey, Tavarius.
Hey there, Hannah. Restaurant and bars can seat twice as many people as before. The state's capacity limit now is 50% with no more than 100 people. More customers also means more staff. While restaurateurs are excited about new restrictions, the executive director of the Michigan Licensed Beverage Association, Scott Ellis, says he was disappointed by the 100-person capacity limit in restaurants and bars from the state's health department's latest order. Starting tonight, the state's curfew in bars and restaurants is now 1 hour later. They can now stay open until 11 o'clock. Hannah?
All right, thank you. Meteorologist Will Haney is in for Keith tonight. And if you're headed out for a bite to eat, he has all the details on your Friday forecast. It is beautiful out there. Hey, Will.
Yeah, hey there, Hannah. A little bit of a chill in the air, but certainly not too bad. We're in those lower 40s. A little bit colder if you're out at the lakeshore. Bit breezy, too. There's the view in South Haven, but you can see it is a clear sky. If you're heading out on the town to maybe partake in that restaurant week, you can see temperatures in the upper 30s by around 6 o'clock, and then we're falling through those 30s later this evening. But yeah, clear skies really across the entire Mitten and UP. We're kind of sandwiched in between two systems, one well to our north and east, and then the other down there pivoting into parts of Arkansas, bringing some rain for our friends down south. Those are going to completely miss us, though. High pressure continuing into the weekend. Our high temperatures really start to climb for the second half of the weekend and into early next week. We'll talk about that and the day of transition on Wednesday a little later in the show.
All right, Will, thank you. The cost of filling up your tank is getting higher and higher. Gas prices hit a 5-year low at the start of the pandemic, but now costs are returning to normal. National correspondent Atra Elshanar explains what's the cause of the spike.
After After spending most of the past year indoors, Americans eager to hit the road are paying a high price.
Yesterday it was $2.64, and I got by here this morning, it's $2.75.
Gas prices have been steadily increasing since November. The nationwide average now $2.75 per gallon, according to AAA, and 1 in 10 gas stations is at $3 per gallon or more.
Sometimes you just don't go somewhere because you don't want to spend the money on gas.
Our food, actually, we cut to make sure we have gas in the car.
Experts say there are several factors causing the rise, including a decision this week by OPEC to not increase oil production, even though demand is up. Petroleum analyst Patrick DeHaan.
They want to be cautious on raising production faster than the recovery has taken place.
AAA spokesperson Jeanette McGee says another cause for the spike is recent winter weather in Texas.
That took about 26 refineries offline, which meant no production.
Part of the spike in prices also has to do with the season. Every spring and summer, the EPA requires the use of a summer blend of gasoline to cut down on emissions. But this can sometimes come with logistical challenges that might add up to another 15 cents per gallon.
In my view, we've already waited too long to deal with this climate crisis.
Some are quick to blame President Biden's new energy policies for the rise in costs, like his cancellation of the Keystone Pipeline and pause of new oil and gas leases on federal land. DeHaan says these policy moves are not related to the current rise in prices.
Because a pipeline does not produce crude oil, it does not have an impact in the price of crude oil. There's no oil company looking to drill a new rig on federal land at this moment.
But he says the pause on new leases could impact supply in years to come. More restrictions on fossil fuel companies are expected. A group of House Democrats this week introducing legislation to make it more expensive for these companies to extract from public lands. While that plays out on Capitol Hill, in the months to come, drivers should prepare to pay more at the pump. In Washington, I'm Autrell Nashar reporting.
New today, a Minnesota appeals court has ruled a third-degree murder charge may be reinstated against Derek Chauvin, the former officer currently facing second-degree murder and manslaughter charges in the death of George Floyd last May. Prosecutors argued earlier this week that the third-degree charge should not have been dropped. Jury selection starts Monday for the trial. It's unclear if this ruling could affect the start date. Chauvin is accused of killing George Floyd while in police custody. Minnesota's Attorney General weighed in on today's ruling, saying in a statement, quote, "We believe the Court of Appeals decided this matter correctly. We believe the charge of third-degree murder, in addition to manslaughter and felony murder, reflects the gravity of the allegations against Mr. Chauvin. And George Floyd's death helped spark a wave of protests for racial justice nationwide, including right here in Kalamazoo. You can find our complete coverage of those protests and their impact on West Michigan on our website, wwmt.com. Checking in on COVID-19 cases around the world now, you can see there's more than 115 million cases globally and more than 2.5 million deaths. That's according to data from Johns Hopkins University. In the meantime, World Health Organization is planning to scrap a report summarizing its investigation into COVID origins during a recent trip to China. Now they say the final report will instead be published in the coming weeks. Meanwhile, 24 scientists are urging a new probe into COVID origins, saying WHO investigators weren't given sufficient access in China during their visit.
Siamo riuniti in questa cattedrale di Nostra Signora della Salvezza.
History in the making in Iraq today as Pope Francis began his 4-day tour of the country. The visit marks the first time the Pope has visited despite an increase in COVID-19 cases and security concerns in the region. Today, the Pope spread a message of unity, urging Iraqis to treat Christians as a resource and not, quote, an obstacle. Moving live over New Zealand now from EarthCam, where the country's prime minister says the government will lift a lockdown in the country's largest city. That 7-day lockdown in the city of Auckland was triggered by a single case of COVID-19. Now health officials say no new cases have been reported in the last 5 days. The Prime Minister says the lockdown is set to lift on Sunday. Back in North America, Canada has become the first major regulator in the world to authorize the use of 4 COVID-19 vaccines after clearing the Johnson & Johnson vaccine for use. The Pfizer, Moderna, and AstraZeneca vaccines have already been approved. The country is dealing with a vaccine shortage because it doesn't have domestic production. J&J has promised to send 10 million shots to Canada, but hasn't set a timeline for delivery. The U.S. economy showing positive signs of recovery. How many jobs were added nationwide within the last month? Plus, rising unemployment rates are putting a daily financial strain on many American families. How volunteers are stepping up to help.
And plenty of sunshine and a big-time warm-up to talk about. We'll tell you when you're really going to start to notice the temperatures start to climb.
Jeopardy, weeknights at 7. Thank you for turning to News Channel 3 at 5:30. The news continues right now.
Welcome back to News Channel 3. The U.S. economy could be on the mend. February's job report shows 379,000 jobs were added last month. That's the most since October. But it's just a dent in the roughly 10 million jobs that were lost to the pandemic. The Labor Department says the unemployment rate fell to just over 6%. Meantime, a new survey by LinkedIn finds that the pandemic has unique challenges on women in the workforce. 70% of women surveyed say they feel they need to lower their career expectations. 60% say they feel they're underperforming in all areas of life. And 39% of working moms feel they are failing their children. 275,000 women left with the workforce this past January compared to 71,000 men. That's according to the Labor Department. And despite the challenges, LinkedIn's Carolyn Fairchild is encouraging women to find their voice at work.
Despite the struggles that women are facing at home, there's still this stigma, the stigma that you can't feel like you can talk about with your manager what you're facing at home, and the pandemic has made all of that worse.
LinkedIn is also encouraging women to speak up if they think that they deserve a raise, but finds that they are less likely to do so than their male counterparts. News Channel 3 spoke with single moms in West Michigan about the struggles they're facing during the pandemic. You can watch our full special report in this article under the coronavirus tab at WWMT.com. New today at 5:30, rising unemployment rates are putting a daily financial strain on many American families, but there has been one unexpected benefit of this bad situation. Here's News Channel 3's anchor, Andy Dominiani, to explain why. Hey, Andy.
Hey there, Hannah. How are you? Thanks. As they say, it's been tough all over in the last year. But sometimes when the going gets tough, the tough start volunteering. And that's exactly what's been happening in recent days and weeks. Nonprofit groups say the pandemic is giving rise lately to a new spirit of volunteerism. Doctors say giving back is good for your own health. Research shows that volunteering can help you stay physically and mentally fit. It can decrease depression and stress and even help you live longer. Medical assistant Taylor Blythe joined the New York City COVID sitters, babysitting for healthcare workers who've lost their child care.
A lot of us just have all this free time and energy that we want to spend, and we realize that helping others during a time when people really need it is a great way to maybe direct that energy.
People are both looking to find purpose in this moment, right? Because volunteerism helps each of us feel like we're connected to the community and the world around us.
Volunteer organizations say the fastest growing need in the U.S. right now is food. So if you aren't volunteering and you'd like to, experts say your local food banks, and we've got lots of them here, is a good place to start. For a list, visit WWMT.com. Hannah.
All right, Andy, thank you. The Small Business Administration has opened a 2-week window allowing only small businesses with less than 20 employees to apply for a loan through the Paycheck Protection Program. That window closes on March 9th. Angela Brown explains what you should know before applying.
The Fortaleza Rehabilitation and Fitness Center treats patients with debilitating injuries, but it was their business that was suffering during the pandemic.
We could foresee that, oh, wow, you know what? 90 days down the line, 60 days down the line, we're going to start seeing a massive decrease in revenue. So, we decided to jump on, and thank God we did, because I tell you what, it saved us.
10 days ago, Joshua says he got his second PPP loan, a small piece of the $284 billion approved by Congress last December for round 3 of the program.
The process in the second time was a cakewalk.
From February 24th through March 9th, the Small Business Administration will only offer loans to small businesses with less than 20 employees. Roy Retrieve is the CEO and president of Mid-Penn Bank.
Those companies that are that small tend not to be able to get shelf space with financial institutions who are doing this. Now, not Mid-Penn Bank. We, handle all the applications as they come in.
PPP came under scrutiny after many small businesses were locked out of loans last year, while celebrities and large corporations received millions. Problems Retrieve says have been solved.
I think that it was political pressure put on the larger financial institutions.
But this round, there are some new eligibility requirements for small businesses.
The other qualification is you had to have a 25% decrease in revenues in one of the quarters in 2020 versus that same quarter in 2019.
Small businesses have just 5 days to apply in this window. After that, the program opens up to everyone. Rivera got his in early because he has nearly 50 employees and didn't want to lay them off.
The amount of revenue at the end of the day last year without the PPP was about 40% less, 45% less.
The Paycheck Protection Program provides loans to help businesses keep their workforce employed during the pandemic. So far, billions of dollars have been paid out. In Washington, Angela Brown.
All right, turning back to the weather tonight, you're looking live over a sunny downtown Battle Creek. Look how beautiful that is. Meteorologist Will Haney is in the Weather Alert Center looking at another cold night ahead. That's the last thing we want to hear. Will, how's it going?
Yeah, hey there, Hannah. Pretty cold by early March standards. Pretty typically cold, I guess we could say tonight. We're falling into the low 20s. The weekend looking pretty stellar, though. Plenty of sunshine both Saturday and Sunday. Sunday is the pick warmer day with highs in the middle to upper 40s. That cold air off to the northeast starts to skirt on out of here as we look at early next week. That's going to open up ridging and a big warm up on the way early next week as well. You can see Monday, Tuesday, that's when the real warm up arrives. You can see upper 50s, low 60s by Tuesday, and then 60 the day of transition on Wednesday. Comes with some rain. And we average about 4 60-degree days in the month of March, and this is right around the time of the year that we typically see our first. The last time we saw it was back on November 20th, so we're certainly due, and we're going to be looking ahead at that rainmaker later in the week, coming up in just a few minutes.
And then you'll be working to retrieve the right lower strut. Okay, I got it. Thank you.
And new video into our newsroom today, pretty cool, as astronauts conduct 2 spacewalks on the International Space Station. The crew members from Expedition 64 are performing maintenance upgrades on the ISS. On Sunday, astronauts will start installing modification kits needed for the upcoming solar array upgrades. The current ones, they've been powering the space station for more than 20 years. I guess they're due, huh?
Wow, and I mean, we both usually work on weekends, so that'll be something cool for us to watch.
Absolutely, and I just think about when I see those spacewalks as something I don't think I could ever do. I've seen the movie Gravity.
No, I don't think so either.
If you've ever seen I know, if you've ever seen that movie, it would stress me out too much.
Okay, so we will not do that together.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Will. And some good news for book lovers. The Kalamazoo Public Library will reopen to the public on Monday. Library staff are hard at work preparing the facilities to reopen, which means the KPL locations listed on your screens right now will be closed for at least part of this weekend. Curbside service will also not be available. And on Monday, services will still be limited due to COVID-19 precautions. Library staff ask that customers follow social distancing guidelines and wear a mask at all times. Each location will allow 25% capacity at one time, and some hands-on resources will be temporarily unavailable, such as toys and puzzles for kids and print publications. Curbside service will still be offered at all locations. A West Michigan restaurant owner now has a warrant out for her arrest. Still ahead at 6, why the judge says she's breaking COVID-19 protocols. Plus, preparations already underway for the first round of the NCAA tournament, how the state of Indiana is gearing up for thousands of visitors.
It is the question that matters the most.
Not much happening in the weather department until middle of next week. Obviously, we have that warm up arriving Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday, though, that's the day where things will start to transition. And with that transition will come some rain, it looks like, fairly widespread, especially late in the day Wednesday into early next Thursday. And the heavy rain potential is there. It's hard to say right now. Models have been kind of all over the place with that rain in terms of how much we'll see. But a good soaking by early March standards looks to be in store for us. And then that front will stall to the south on Friday. Our weather looks to quiet down. Something we'll be watching in the week ahead. Hannah.
All right, Will, thank you. The countdown is on. In just 2 weeks from today, the first round of the NCAA tournament tips off. And due to the pandemic, the entire tournament will be held in Indiana. Right now, businesses are frantically getting prepared for thousands of visitors. The Indiana Restaurant and Lodging Association says hotel lodging goes from 80% occupancy on Saturday to 4% on Sunday night. The drastic changes makes it difficult to staff workers full time. However, this year's tournament is expected to keep people in town a little longer, hopefully spending some much needed tourism dollars. Meanwhile, a tradition in Indianapolis just earned a spot in the World Records book. When the city hosts a big event like the Indy 500 or the Big Ten tournament, a new mural goes up downtown. Since Indiana is the sole site for the NCAA college basketball tournament, city leaders put up a massive tournament bracket. It's over 47,000 square feet, making it the biggest bracket ever made. How cool is that? And the NCAA tournament first round tips off 2 weeks from today, March 19th. You can watch those games live right here on News Channel 3. Plus, happening this weekend, another CBS exclusive. Oprah sat down with Prince Harry and his wife, Meghan Markle, 1 year after the couple left England and stepped back from full-time royal life. You can watch Oprah with Meghan and Harry, a CBS primetime special this Sunday night at 8 right here on News Channel 3. New developments regarding 3 of the men arrested in connection to the alleged plot to kidnap the governor. When we could learn if the case is heading to trial, that's still ahead at 6.